I'm sure you know the feeling. It often happens when you're watching a great Star Wars film or series. The opening scenes were thrilling and exciting, but now you're through the beginning. The foundational beats have been established, and you're firmly entrenched in the magically immersive world surrounding you. This is the point in which the story stretches out before you. You see the larger plot points unfold. You get more time with the characters. You join them in exploring various locations, and you get to know each one in the process. You've crossed over from the reality of the world you know into an all-new one. It becomes your temporary home through the duration of the story's runtime, and it's something you wholly embrace in order to get the most out of it. And a great experience is often the rich reward of a great Star Wars story. It's also the reward of a great Star Wars event as well. And in May of 2024, the Georgia Alliance of Star Wars Collectors, known as the GASWC, hosted a multi-day event in the Peach State for 200 Star Wars fans and collectors. It included collection tours at the homes of some of the local collectors. It also offered regional activities and excursions, group meals, and time to hang out and to get to know other collectors from different clubs, states, and countries. And the crown jewel of the weekend was the main event, which conveniently happened to fall on Saturday, May the 4th, a Star Wars-themed holiday. Attendees spent that Saturday in a lavish hotel ballroom, enjoying presentations about various areas of Star Wars history and collecting. And the panels featured some of the people who had made a monumental impact on the hobby and on the franchise, like legendary collector and author Steve Sansweet, and the animator who introduced Boba Fett to the world in 1978, John Celestri. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. We're not up to Saturday on this trip just yet. In the previous Rogue Fun episode, you and I traveled back in time to Wednesday, May 1st, 2024. And you traveled with me from New Jersey beginning that Wednesday, and we arrived in Georgia on Thursday, May 2nd. After catching up with some friends in the hotel lobby that afternoon, we joined about 50 of our fellow collectors that evening for the first Rogue Fun event of the weekend. Titled Rogue Fun Under the Stars, the kickoff event took place at Jason Wilsuko's home in Kennesaw. There, while the Rogue One movie played on a giant screen in Jason's backyard, we reconnected with longtime friends, met some in person for the first time, and built new collector friendships as well. The night turned into an epic one. After Jason's, I returned to the hotel for a late-night hangout with a group of the modern Star Wars prototype collectors. And by the time I finally returned to my room to go to sleep, it was well after 2 a.m. on Friday morning. And after a good night's rest, I'm ready for the first full day of Rogue Fun. And the Georgia crew has planned 2 main events for this Friday. The first is an outdoor hike along one of the most beautiful spots in the area. And the second is a trip to the home of collector and Rogue Fun co-creator Narayan Naik. Narayan is a longtime and passionate Star Wars fan who collects vintage and modern items, spanning the Kenner and Hasbro lines, as well as customs, international items, prototypes, and other desirable rarities. He is also one of the most ardent creators and collectors of Star Wars swag, and the pieces he has helped produce are some of the most coveted ones in our community. So those are the scheduled activities for the day. And with an event like Rogue Fun, there are sure to be surprises and impromptu moments along the way. And I can't wait to experience all of what awaits us. And I'm glad you're coming along for the ride. This is part 2 of the 2024 Rogue Fun experience in Kennesaw, Georgia. This is another example of why Rogue Fun was one of the best collector trips ever, and why you need to be at the next one in 2026. This is the joy that comes from immersing yourself in another memorable Star Wars story. And this is Star Wars Prototypes and Production.
From Coruscant to Tatooine, and every planet in between, Star Wars, Prototypes and Production, with your host, David Quinn.
Vader.
It's a trap!
Yes, Master.
Whoa, we're gonna have company!
Have to stand and fight.
The more you tighten your grip, Tom, the more star systems will slip through your fingers.
I want to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi like my father.
The Force will be with you, always.
Friday, May 3rd, 2024. One of the activities coordinated by the Georgia Alliance for the weekend was a collector's hike of the Kennesaw Mountain. The mountain is located between two cities, Marietta and Kennesaw. It was the site of the Battle of Kennesaw, a 2-week segment of the Civil War's Atlanta campaign that took place in June of 1864. The Kennesaw Mountain's peak stands at 1,800 feet above sea level. The hike up to it extends a little over a mile and will take between 45 and 90 minutes. Jason Wilsuko, co-creator of Rogue Fun, would be our hiking guide for the morning. The hike itself was the perfect activity. It was a shorter, low-intensity trek and would afford collectors a chance to not only explore the park and the mountain, but to spend time with one another outside and among nature. Over the past few years, I've learned how special these hikes can be. I had attended my first collector's hike in the summer of 2022 during the Empire State Club's second annual event. The annual was a weekend similar to Rogue Fun, and had included a boat cruise, group meals, and tours of local Star Wars collections. But being held in the beautiful Hudson Valley region of New York State, the hosts had added a collector's hike to the second event. At 4 miles, the Hudson Valley hike was longer than the Kennesaw one. But by the end of it, I had gotten to know many of my fellow hikers. We had a healthy amount of time for deeper conversations as we traversed the trails awaiting us. And by the time we had reached the summit, we felt like we had accomplished something special together. And by the end of it, I think we felt closer to one another as friends as well. And when it came to Rogue Fun, the Kennesaw Mountain hike was one of the top activities on my list. I couldn't wait to see more of Georgia and to go on another collector's hike in a completely different region of the country. After staying up until almost 3 a.m. the night before, I slept in a little longer than I had originally planned. I showered and then finished unpacking my suitcases and setting up my room for the next 3 days. There's nothing like going on vacation and making where you're staying feel like home. The morning was an easy one and was largely quiet. It was a great way to begin the official event and to come down from the excitement of the previous day's drive and the meetup at Jason's. Rogue Fun was scheduled in a way that ensured there were enough group events to make attending worthwhile. But its hosts also made sure to include enough downtime to keep it comfortably paced and enough free time to allow for those magical and impromptu moments to occur. With a few hours before the hike, I grabbed breakfast and went down to the lobby to spend time with some of the other collectors. I met up with a friend who arrived that morning, and shortly after, left the hotel and headed to the Kennesaw Mountain National Battlefield Park. Okay, I just arrived at the Kennesaw Mountain National Battlefield Park, and So excited to go hiking. It's such a beautiful, beautiful area. Heavily wooded, mountainous. I think so. This is supposed to be, I want to say it's about a mile. When we've done the hikes for the Empire State Club in that region, in the Hudson Valley area, I think that one was 4 miles. We did something like 4 or 5 hours or so. So this is a mile. It's supposed to be about an hour and a half. It should be great. It's crowded. I'm really surprised. And, it's not, of course, not just us hiking, but I'm surprised to see how many people are out at this point. But it is a beautiful day. There's a really nice breeze kind of coming through, especially if you're in the shade. And I can't wait. So I see a group of people. There's Chris Georgulius and his wife Sharon. I see some of the Swedes are here as well, too. And they're following up the trail. So I'm just going to tag along with them and join up. During the early part of the hike, Chris Georgulius and I spoke about the last big regional club event, the Empire State Club's annual. And we also chatted with our guide Jason and Ohio collector Dave Brock.
Annual, which has never been annual, well, I don't know why they signed themselves up for a name like that.
Yeah, yep.
It's been, what, 3? 2?
2. 3. Well, we had COVID, and that messed everything up.
Yeah. They should have called it Bicentennial. That would have been better.
Eventual.
Todd, eventual. Todd Chamberlain was at breakfast this morning. He came in last night at 1:30.
I met him in the lobby.
Oh, you saw him?
Yeah.
Last night?
Yep.
No, he's night owl.
Pause.
Yeah.
There is a flat area kind of up there.
Matthias.
I think Sharon's feeling
Vänta på han.
We can slow down.
So Jason, while we're paused, tell us what we're doing right now.
We're hiking up Kennesaw Mountain, which is a mile hike up to the summit, and you can see all of Atlanta, downtown Atlanta, from the top.
And who's leading the hike?
I am, but the Swedes are in advance right now.
They are right now, and yeah, they partied hard yesterday, and they're up and ready to work now. So
yes, I wish I had that energy.
Do you have a favorite spot?
The top where you can kind of see everything, and on both sides you can see this is the end of the Appalachian Mountains.
Get me in there. It's Dave Brock walking up the hill. I just got up to all the fit people. All right, I need a break. Keep talking.
Might be the last time you hear from Dave Brock.
It was nice knowing everybody.
Let's save this for his descendants. This is what he sounded like.
It gets flat up here in just a little bit.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's
you
normally
actually go
that
downhill at one point.
Really?
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Wow. Oh, because it's like a ridge almost?
Yeah, it's a ridge that goes down and around.
Okay.
Yeah. I missed all the other fat guys stayed back at the hotel, but I wanted to come out, so here I am.
We appreciate your company.
Absolutely.
Out of shape, but I love stuff like this.
My wife was telling me this morning that how much she enjoyed talking to you, and I guess you were talking to my daughter Josie.
I was, yeah.
Yes.
Homebody.
Yes.
She didn't tell me her name. She just said she's staying home.
That's Josie.
Josie? All right. Yeah. No, I had a lot of fun. We talked when I was getting a sandwich.
Yes.
For lunch.
Yes.
And thank you them so much for, hosting.
Of course.
I know your daughter's just subjected along to it, but I noticed, unlike your other kids, she did not make herself scarce.
No, she didn't. And I, at one point, checked my watch. I'm like, oh, it's 11:45 on a school night. We need to wrap this up, kid.
Did anyone else forget that it was a Thursday last night? I thought it was Saturday.
Yeah, I'm the one planning this thing, so I know the schedule, and I feel like it's Saturday. And I'm like, wait, no, we got 3 days left.
Yeah. So, who did you meet for the first time yesterday? That you really, besides me? Who
did I meet for the first time? Brandon Vise.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Katie Lukens.
Yep. Don Henderson, Paul Konatsky.
Paul. Yes, I met Paul for the first time.
Oh, wow. That was so much fun. It was so nice meeting everybody for the first time and then seeing people that we knew again, too. Yeah. So. Dave, who was somebody that you met for the first time yesterday?
The Arizona guys.
Oh, okay.
Had not been there before.
Don Henderson, Paul Konatsky, and
yeah, absolutely. And then probably a few others too.
Okay.
Daniel from Sweden. I can't remember if I met him before.
Mm-hmm. I think that was the first time I met him as well.
Right. And the other Swedes, too.
Yeah.
I'd met Mateus before, though.
Yep, that's the first time I met Mateus
Oh, wow.
and that whole crew.
Did you ever imagine you'd meet somebody from Sweden at your own home?
No, and I
cool.
never imagined Mateus would be in my room signing his book that he wrote.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
One time the kids and I were here, and there was a hawk on that little broken branch.
Yeah.
It was just squawking at something. And I mean, we're standing right here like, what's going on? It jumped down and it grabbed a mouse inside all those leaves and just flew off.
Oh, my gosh.
It's kind of awesome to see.
Yeah, we're on a ridge right now. It's curving up, so we're actually taking the Kennesaw Mountain Trail here. And man, it's beautiful. It's peaceful. I think I said this to you, but in 2022, when we did the second annual, we started it off by going on a hike.
Yes.
And to me, it was the highlight of the entire trip.
Oh, really?
I thought it'd be great, like, just to be out with everybody, but we all bonded because we were doing this thing together that was difficult. That took a while.
That's true.
And so you wind up coming from it at the end feeling like you really accomplished something, so.
Yeah, it seemed to be successful, and this is in our backyard, so I thought, let's do that too.
Yeah.
Let's offer it for people to get out, do a free activity.
It's perfect. Okay, so we are happy to report that Dave Brott is still with us.
Still here.
Still alive. Yes.
Yeah.
And we're almost there, right?
Yeah, I heard we're almost there, yeah.
Yeah. He says that, though, but we got another 4 miles to go.
It's like Papa Smurf. Yeah. Remember that? Papa Smurf would always say, just a little further.
Yep. They never
so
get
far.
there. Yeah.
It's beautiful, though. It's nice out here.
It is. And it's not too hot.
I agree. It's not that hot at all.
No.
Compared to what I know is possible down here.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, this is nothing. Wait till the humidity sets in another month, and it's like, I don't even want to go outside. I'm okay in my Star Wars room.
I brought pants and stuff, too. And I started looking at the weather, and I'm like, maybe I should bring some shorts. So glad I did. Yeah.
I'm used to it, so I can wear pants or shorts, and it doesn't affect me. My blood is thinned a little bit from living in New York.
Yeah, of course. Do you have a favorite moment from last night?
Favorite moment from last night? I don't know.
When you punched Glenn out, I thought that was really...
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
That was a long time coming.
Yeah.
And I feel much better now. I feel like we could be friends again.
Yeah, you just had to get it out of your system.
Yes,
That was
I did.
fine.
Yes.
And he really takes a punch well, too.
He does.
Yeah.
Well, he was inebriated, so it didn't hurt as much.
No,
And I held back. I pulled my punch.
you did. And I applaud you for that, too, so...
What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to punching out Glenn. I think that's... No. What am I looking forward to?
Part of
Oh my
Variety
gosh.
Hour. Everybody has a chance to punch him out.
I came back to my room last night, and I might have said this to you last night, but I said, if we couldn't do Rogue Fun for the rest of the weekend, I would be 100% okay with it, because I got to meet people I've never met before, got to hang out, and the night honestly felt magical. That was, I haven't had that much fun at a collector event in a long time. It just, yeah, it was really, really special.
Yeah, it was. It was like for months now, we've got a list of names of people who are coming, and then, they're here. It's happening. It's we're in a different phase of the project.
Yeah.
It's great.
And most of them can't run away or leave, so they have to.
That's what the chains are for.
Like when you fly in from Sweden, that's it.
Yes.
You're here. You're in Georgia.
Yes, you are. And they seem to be having fun.
Yeah.
Steve is here. Steve Sansweet's here.
Oh, he is?
I got word.
Okay.
He was picked up last night, but
Today
today he's...
Sansweet was coming.
Yeah, he's on one of the panels. And he's just chilling right now. Rich, Paul, and Steve are actually working on their presentation right now.
Are they really?
I kept checking in with Rich. Hey, how's it going? And he just sent me this emoji of an awkward, smile. Not done yet. That's
I
it.
see it. I know. I just need a quick second.
Sure. I heard I heard Steve punched out Glenn this morning. I don't know if that's true, but
I wish I was there.
He had it coming.
The nicest man in the hobby.
All right, so what are we approaching, guys?
A fall summit.
Fall summit. Okay. Why is this a fall summit?
You get up there and it's flat. There's a parking lot. You can see the city. And then there's another 1/10 of a mile you can go up, and it's even a wider vista. Mm-hmm. But it's an incline. It's tough, especially when you think you're done. And the mountain says, nope, you got a 10th of a mile left to go.
You know what? I've never been here before. I don't know when I'll get back. I'm going to do it.
Go all the way up. I've seen people get engaged at the top.
You know what? I'm going to go up there. You never know. I might come down a married man. Let's see what happens.
See what happens.
Yes.
I'm single.
I'll be like, I'd like you to meet my 3 wives. Okay. So Matthias, we are here at the peak, and what is this view like for you?
It's beautiful. Looking over Atlanta, the beautiful skyline. Can't really focus because it was a tough hike, but it was
and a long night.
But it was so worth it.
Yeah.
So worth it. It's beautiful here.
It's gorgeous, right? And we have perfect weather. It's a little overcast too, so we're not getting like the hot, heavy sun.
Couldn't be better.
Very cool.
Star Wars and nice weather.
Absolutely.
That's all you can ask for.
I love it. While descending the mountain, we came upon a small group of ham radio enthusiasts who gathered at the site to take advantage of the elevation as they attempted to communicate with others who were hundreds or even thousands of miles away.
Yeah. They're also a Pokestop. So.
Uh-huh.
No, I'm just kidding.
That's very good. Well, cool. That's neat.
We're just getting set up, but I mean, if y'all are willing to stick around, we might get somebody.
Well, we're on our way down, but
Yeah.
thank you. And
no
thanks for
problem.
explaining. I saw you guys setting up on the way up, but first I thought it was a fishing pole. It's like, that's not right.
I actually
And then
use one of those Tenkara fishing poles.
Oh, really?
The long collapsible ones to use wire antennas. So I'll like tie it to a tree and have a wire down to the tip or something.
All right, well, very cool. Good luck.
Have a good one.
Take care. Enjoy your weekend.
You too.
At one point, Swedish collector Daniel Bornheim stopped along the trail, gazing upward at a branch 20 feet above our heads. As we joined him, we were reminded of Jason's earlier story about a hawk. Here's Dave to explain the view in front of us. So Dave Brott, what are we looking at right now?
We are looking at the majesty of nature. There's a hawk just sitting on a tree branch right here that Daniel just pointed out to me. I don't think I've ever been this close to a bird of prey. He's just chilling out. He must be really used to this path.
How far would you say
I would have
we're
walked right
from?
into him. We are
20
probably
feet?
20 feet from him right now,
Yeah.
and he's low. He's only about 15 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
So we're
never
making a
seen this.
triangle, hypotenuse 20. Oh, there he goes. Now he's on the ground, and he's even closer to us. Did he catch something?
I think he caught something.
Okay. I'll get a video.
Oh.
Yeah, he's got
a snake.
Yes. Wow.
like a snake. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Cool.
Get your snake.
So he's gonna eat it.
Yep. It's weird because I was just telling you about the mouse that he found right there.
Oh. Wow. Wow.
There you go.
Along the way, I had the opportunity to catch up with Matthias. He told me about how Star Wars had become something even more meaningful over the past few years, as his son Elliot developed an interest in collecting Lego, focusing on the builds from newer stories like the Clone Wars. He proudly shared how knowledgeable Elliot was, and how he was able to differentiate between the multitude of clone characters. And that moment came full circle at Star Wars Celebration Japan a year later, where Matthias and Elliot presented a panel about collecting vintage and Lego items at the collecting track. I spoke for a while with Daniel, getting to know him for the first time. Daniel is an accomplished tattoo artist, and at a stop along the hike, he showed me some of the work he had done for others recently. His tattoos were complex, often heavily realistic designs that went beyond what your average artist could produce. They were like grayscale paintings or stained glass portraitures captured on human canvas. It's funny, but small conversations like that create friendships pretty quickly. Meeting Anna and Mia and touring the mountain with the Swedes opened a fascinating door into what life is like for each of them on their side of the planet. I remember Mia and Daniel talking about how Taylor Swift's upcoming arrival to their area for her world concert tour would create utter chaos, as fans from surrounding towns and countries planned to travel to the venue. But with that minor exception, their lives had the balance and peacefulness that made home life and travel a rewarding combination. Seeing Chris and Sharon again was also incredibly meaningful. I don't know if I've ever said this to Chris, but he has had an immense impact on my understanding of collecting in the hobby. Chris was one of the early contributors to the website, the Star Wars Collector's Archive. He had created a digital scrapbook of some of the more notable classified listings from the backs of the 1990s Toy Fair magazines. The listings offered for sale some of the key vintage Kenner prototypes, like carded first shot samples and hand-painted hard copies. Studying those digital scrapbook pages helped me to see which Kenner pre-production items existed, and to learn about why they were so desirable and so rare. Chris also applied his engineering knowledge to entries and articles explaining the production process of a toy. And over the years, I developed a better understanding of each of the steps to making a figure, as well as the terminology used at Kenner and among collectors. So in addition to being eternally grateful for the information he has shared freely, I'm thankful to call Chris a friend. Chris and Sharon are avid hikers and appreciate exploring nature together. And to have them as part of this hike made the morning even better. There's something about Dave Brott as well. He just makes moments like this a little funnier, a little more exciting, and a little more memorable. He naturally makes every person around him feel comfortable and included, which is a true gift. And he doesn't experience an activity like this in a passive way. He welcomes it, and he celebrates it. Dave is a true joy, with a contagious appreciation for life itself. And Jason, it was another blessing of a day to be in his company again. We've known each other for years, and have spent hours upon hours building a friendship through video chats and phone calls, and a few podcast conversations as well. But at Rogue Fun, we were finally in the same room together. Or in this case, ascending a mountain trail together. I was so proud of my friend. What he had created in Rogue Fun was already incredible, and we were only at the beginning of the weekend. And to have him as our guide, leading us through the hike and showing us his region of the country, felt like another blessing among a mile of blessings thus far. With Jason, there are no airs about him. He is super talented and is able to lead, yet there's no ego. He doesn't need the spotlight. During our hike, I could see how important it was to him that our group was having a fun time, and that the excursion would be a worthwhile one for everyone involved. He cares that much. But I also saw someone who was able to enjoy it himself, connecting with each person in the process. At the end of our hike, we stood around in a sweaty circle, drinking bottles of water at the visitor center at the foot of the mountain, and continuing the conversations that had begun on the way down. We laughed together as we slowly made our way back to our cars. And strangely, I think we all felt more rejuvenated than tired. The first activity of the day had been an overwhelming success. Okay, so we just finished up the hike. It is now 2 o'clock. Jason was right on with the timing for it. It really was nice. So there were 9 of us. And we had a large representation from Sweden, which was really cool. But it just turned out to be just a great event. It was Chris and Sharon Gergulias. It was Mia and Daniel, Anna and Matthias from Sweden, and Jason and Dave Brott and myself. And We hiked up, and there was a point where we could hike up a little further if we wanted to, and we decided to do that. We actually met a large homeschool group. I think it's about 40 children that were up there as well, and there was a whole bunch of teachers, and they were taking a group photo. So it was really cute to see. And just a perfect day. It looked like it was going to rain as we were, just getting to the parking lot. A few darker clouds, but my gosh, what a beautiful area. It really wasn't too warm. And it also, I'd said this to Jason and to Dave, it was a nice hike where it felt like we had done, some exercise, and we had gotten the blood pumping, and, we got to explore, but it wasn't too much where, we were feeling exhausted afterwards. So that, I'm happy to say, it made the trip.
1/2 mile, turn right on White Circle Northwest.
It was really everything I was hoping it would be, which was just a time to get to know some people that either I don't really know too well, or maybe have never met before, or met last night for the first time, and then getting to see just a few people that she's chatty. Getting to see a few people that I know already, like Dave and Jason, and just getting to talk to them more. So great time. The view was beautiful. The craziest thing was seeing the hawk. The hawk was literally, as Dave said earlier, 15 feet up in the air on a branch right in front of us, maybe, 12 feet away. And, I had never seen anything like that before, that close. So Jason was telling us that he saw a hawk the last time, and there was one that caught a mouse, but this was amazing to see, because it actually, it located a snake and then just dove down and scooped it up right in front of us as we watched. And it was weird too, because it just kept looking at us and then looking down, to make sure the snake was still there. And it kind of toyed with the snake for a little while, I think, just to slow it down and get a grasp on it. But it was pretty amazing. So going back to the hotel room now, gonna clean myself up, shower, and get ready for essentially for Narayan's. I think we might do some sort of modern prototype hangout a little bit, maybe an early room sales or something like that. And then looking forward to spending time with everyone for the rest of the night. In addition to the hike, there were many other activity choices offered for the morning and afternoon. Collectors could travel to the Georgia Aquarium to see the hundreds of species and thousands of animals. 2 local markets, the Pond City Market and the Marietta Market, featured merchants and food halls. Guests could also tour staples of the Atlanta region: the Jimmy Carter Library and Museum, the Southern Museum of Civil War and Locomotive History, the World of Coca-Cola Museum, and the Atlanta Botanical Garden. And for fans of Sesame Street, Fraggle Rock, the Muppets, and the decades of entertainment they delivered, Atlanta's Center for Puppetry Arts is a museum housing 700 retired Muppets. When it came to hunting for Star Wars memorabilia, collectors also had the opportunity to visit some of the stores in the area. The Cobb Antique Mall contained booths from dealers like Atlanta Vintage Toys and the Toy Man. Second Chance Toys and Collectibles offered an assortment of vintage items, with a focus on the Star Wars toy lines. And for fans of comics, Dr. No's Comics and Games Superstore was worth a 5-mile ride from the hotel. Local collector Tim Thale had a wonderful afternoon with some friends who traveled in from different states. Before he shares a story about Friday's excursion, I asked him to share a memory from the day before, about how he and his friends came together.
Hi, David. Tim Thayall here. And here are my thoughts on Rogue Fun. Starting with the Thursday night before the Friday pregame event, when I went down to the airport to pick up Jesse Cedar Soberman, and we had never met. You know, we recognized each other instantly when I sidled up next to him at 2:30 in the morning while he's waiting for his luggage. He's obviously the guy in the Star Wars shirt. Looks like he's there on a mission. And just stood next to him. He looked at me. I looked at him. And all of a sudden, it's just like big smiles and hugs and just this aloha vibe that Cedar carries with him, and that I guess, you know, I was trying to join into picking him up in the wee hours, and that infectious, just like smile, spread throughout the entire baggage claim area. Like the ladies next to us were just like, you know, these bedraggled travelers. All of a sudden, we're I don't know, we brightened up some lives, and so. Yeah, got him back to my place. We, you know, settled in. A couple hours later, I was back at the airport to pick up Nilmini Clure from Pennsylvania. And it was like a family reunion as we pre-gamed and just got ready to go to the Center for Puppetry Arts later on that day. It started out grand.
And here's Tim again to explain how he spent his afternoon with the group.
Again, David, Tim Theall. I wanted to share with you what happened on Friday. While everybody was on a hike, I was privileged to bring my out-of-town guests, Jesse Cedar Soberman, Nilmini Clure, Kathy Kendrick, Ilan Bartlett, Trevor Wenzel, and April Brown to the Center for Puppetry Arts, where I've got a very good friend that I collaborate with on some art and puppetry, Damon Young. So you ought to look up his stuff. He's a shadow puppeteer, and he took us through a guided tour of the Center for Puppetry Arts. And if you haven't been there, next time you're in Atlanta, don't miss it. I can probably hook up another pass for y'all. So we saw the Fraggle Rock exhibit being built. We got a backstage pass to check out everything that was upcoming. And of course, the center is just, you know, a dream for, I guess, Gen X people, you know, like us. There's like a whole dark crystal wing. There's a Jim Henson wing, which is fully stocked with all your favorite Muppets, Labyrinth stuff. So we did that, and then Cedar got us into the aquarium, Georgia Aquarium, which is, of course, the largest aquarium in the world. I'd never even been there, and I live here. It was a blast. They were having a Star Wars day, of all things. And so there are all of these 501st folks and Mando Mercs folks, like all in costume. What a beautiful thing. What a beautiful coincidence that we were all there at that point. So our Friday just couldn't be better. I mean, I hope you guys had fun on the hike. That wasn't for me. We were going on a flat, level surface, and the weekend hadn't even really started yet. Wow, what a great day. Thank you, Jesse, for getting us into that aquarium. Thank you, Damon Young, and his shadow puppetry for getting us into that Center for Puppetry Arts. You need to check that one out next time you're here, man. All right. Thanks, David.
Ohio's Joel Slater had a completely different Friday afternoon adventure. But like Tim, experienced it with a group of friends, including one he had met the day before.
Hey, David. It's Joel Slater. It's hard to believe it's already been a year since Rogue Fun, and your first part of your retrospective really brought back a lot of memories for me. But I have a lot of good memories of Rogue Fun. One of the first ones would probably be before the event even happened. Narayan had put up a post asking when people were coming to town, and I responded. It was Thursday. I forget exactly what time, but 3 o'clock or so, and I know Toby Black was getting in around the same time, and Tony Johnson was going to pick us both up. And I remember Katie Lukens had responded and asked me if I wanted to share a Uber or a ride to the hotel, and I didn't know her. Didn't even recognize her name, but I mentioned that to Tony Johnson. I was like, "Hey, this girl needs a ride. Would you be okay bringing her along as well?" And he was like, "Sure, fine." So she rode with us the great hour or so it took to get from the airport to the hotel with the great Atlanta traffic. And it was, by the time we got there, it was like we were already old friends. She was great, and we ended up hanging with her quite a bit that weekend. And that just went to show you kind of the power of this community and how it just takes something like that to make a friend and make a great weekend out of it.
And here's how the afternoon came together for Joel.
Hey, David. Joel Slater again. On Friday, some of us did not do the hike. I think it was Toby and Tony and Katie and I can't remember for sure if anybody else was there, but we went to an antique mall, looked around. We were told that there was quite a bit of toys there, so there were. I believe the Atlanta Vintage Toys guys were set up there, had a booth there, and so that was cool. We walked around there forever, and then we stopped at a toy store that was in the area that I can't remember the name of, but it was a really nice store. And then we decided to go back to the hotel, and Toby and I decided to get some drinks from the hotel room and go down to sit in the outdoor area of the hotel. And it started off just me and him sitting there, and then another collector shows up, and within, maybe less than 30 minutes, 45 minutes, we had about 20, 25 collectors hanging out there. And it was, no one organized it or planned it. It just kind of happened. It seemed like everybody was coming back at the same time. And that's when Gus and a lot of those guys came back. They were out searching for all the different blue milk cartons and labels, and they all came back with blue milk, and it was like a blue milk tasting party. That's when they were starting to bring everything in to set up in the ballroom for the actual Rogue Fun event. So a lot of us, when we went over and just helped them unload trucks and load in to the ballroom real quick. So that just kind of impromptu event really quick. That was a lot of fun. We just all kind of hung out for a while and had drinks and talked toys and talked life, really. We talked about lots of different things. So that was just another fun little memory that will always just stay with me, with all the guys that were there and ladies that were there. So we really had a good time that afternoon.
And Josie Harmon and Neil Kambaita did some shopping ahead of Narayan's meetup.
Hi everyone, this is Josie Harmon here. Okay, so Friday afternoon of the Rogue Fun weekend, this was the day that me and Neil wanted to explore the area near the hotel and do a little bit of shopping and see if we could find a local arcade and check that out. That's always a fun thing we do on trips, and we get to see how they compare in each city that we visit. So we did find a mall that was pretty close by. It was called the Town Center at Cobb. It was maybe about a 20-minute Uber ride away, and this one had an awesome arcade in it. It had a nice mix of games, and I remember it set a really fun tone for us to start the weekend. It had a photo booth, which I love because it's such a nice memory from trips. We really did have a great time at this mall. Plus, it's always really cool for us to go shopping in the States, just being from Canada, to see what's different and find some new things for us that we don't see back home. I remember we found a store. It was pretty similar to Hot Topic, which we do have here. I can't remember what it was called, but it had a bunch of cool Star Wars stuff in it. Lots of clothing, some random household items, and lots of Phantom Menace items to celebrate the anniversary. I remember when we saw all of the Star Wars stuff in the mall, it just got me so excited for the weekend because we knew we were so close to reconnecting with friends in just a few hours, and we were going to meet lots of new people for us as well. So after a couple hours at the mall, we were just so pumped and ready to head to Narayan's and see everyone, and we just knew it would be the best time. And I remember I also bought some shorts at the mall because Atlanta was way hotter than I was expecting. I think you get used to the cold being from Canada, and we were not that prepared for the heat, even though it was a really wonderful change of weather for us. So yeah, that was our afternoon. We were chilling out at the mall, the two of us. We were just getting super hyped for that Friday evening.
And Wisconsin's Doug Meyer and his son Will toured the Plastic Empire store, where they met someone special from the Star Wars universe.
We visited Plastic Empire, which is a pretty popular collector store in the area. And we were fortunate enough to meet and get signatures of the actor that played Cad Bane in the Book of Boba Fett. And we've been to many celebrations over the years and other cons, but this was the first time we had the opportunity to meet with that individual. So that was pretty exciting. And also just experiencing another type of collector store, because where we live in Wisconsin, we don't have a whole lot of stores of that nature. So it was a pretty neat experience for that. So they have like their own. My son's big into, swag and pins and things like that. And they actually have their own custom pin collections of different, types of, genres of collections, whether it's Star Wars or Pokemon or things like that. They had a lot of, more rare or exclusive pop figures, and then just some other vintage Star Wars stuff that you just don't see around very often. And my understanding is that they also have a pretty big online catalog. So, they kept emphasizing that, what they didn't have on display, they probably had, in their warehouse and available for online purchase. That was a pretty neat experience to visit that store and get that signature with that actor.
And our friend, Mr. Palatoy, Jason Smith, did some sightseeing.
Hi there, everyone. Here it's Jason Smith, Mr. Palatoy, and I'm here today to talk about the Rogue Fun event held in Atlanta last year. So I've never been to Atlanta, and my partner has never been to America, so we made a kind of two-part trip out of it to go to Atlanta and Miami. And I'm going to tell you about the Friday of Rogue Fun. So I'd say we'd never been to Atlanta before, so we went into Atlanta in taxi in the morning from the Con Hotel and went to the Martin Luther King National Park, the center where it describes his life, and the church which he went to across the road. I went to the church, and then we went to his memorial and grave. So that was all very interesting, and obviously a reflection of how America was back in the day. So after that, we went to one of the big parks where they have the Coca-Cola, World of Coca-Cola Museum. We were going to go in, but it was absolutely full. I think it must have been a bank holiday or something, because it was absolutely full of kids, and we just thought, we'll be in there and there'll be loads of screaming kids everywhere. So we didn't in the end, but we had a wander around. We saw the Olympic rings, and there was a big Ferris wheel there. That was all fun. Then we came back kind of in the afternoon, hung around the Con Hotel where people were starting to turn up, having a look at all the stuff that was getting set up for the Rogue Fun event on Saturday.
Meanwhile, there was work to be done in setting up for Saturday's main event.
Hey, David, it is Glenn with the Georgia Club, giving you my thoughts on Rogue Fun. Friday, man, that Friday was pretty much a blur, man, because we had to get all the stuff ready for the event, get all the stuff to the hotel. Thankfully, our buddy Lewis was able to step up. He had a pickup truck. Jason was busy with the hike, and our buddy Lewis, a club member Lewis, he really stepped up and was able to meet us at Jason's house and get everything loaded up. And when we got to the hotel, everybody was like, hey, what can we do? What can we do? I'm like, all that stuff that's in these cars needs to go into the room. So, before I was even able to really check in with the hotel to let them know I was there to see what was going on, all the stuff was in the room. So thanks to everybody who kind of helped out. Everybody chipped in. It took like 20 minutes maybe to get everything loaded. So that was something I was kind of afraid of, that it would take forever to get all that stuff into all the AV stuff into the room. And unfortunately with that, me and Jason and Roosh and Lewis, we were getting all the AV stuff set up. So we were way late getting to Narayan's house.
And Narayan was busy preparing to have more than 150 guests at his home that evening.
Hey David, this is Narayan Naik from Atlanta, Georgia. Since I was hosting later that day at my home, I wasn't able to go to the hike or to any of the excursions, but I was fortunate to have several friends come over, help me set up. Jerry Hancock from the group, as well as Jason Kane, and two other buddies of mine, Gary Weaver and Ryan Shaw, all came over and we hung out that afternoon. Not a whole lot going on because a lot of it was already set up, but we did have to kind of clean off the chairs after a stray late spring shower, and also went around hiding the various bottle caps that people could try to search for to get a bottle opener later that afternoon and evening.
After the hike, I returned to the hotel to find many of the collectors relaxing in the outdoor courtyard. My hiking buddy Chris Dragulius was sitting next to Seattle Sarlacc Club members Thomas Stewart and Gus Lopez. They were joined by Indiana's Todd Giganti, Alex Slater, and Matthew Molinaro. Matthew handed out the swag he made to those congregating around the table, which were Kylo Ren themed takes on REM album covers, one of Georgia's most beloved and well-known bands. Alex, a pediatrician, created swag that was a multi-purpose Swiss Army knife tool, which echoed his focus character, the many-limbed FX7 medical droid. The gathering in the courtyard was more than a hangout. It was a special tasting session. But instead of offering whiskey or bourbon, those gathered around the outdoor table were trying the latest Star Wars offering at retail, the famed Blue Milk. To celebrate the upcoming May the 4th Star Wars holiday, the milk company True Moo released their version of the Tatooine treat earlier that week. It was the first time Blue Milk was sold at retail in the 47 years since the original 1977 film premiered in theaters. The company labeled the drink as a blue-colored vanilla-flavored low-fat milk with other natural flavors. And a reviewer for the website Nerdist tried it and described its taste as, quote, a very delicate melted vanilla ice cream. That morning, Gus and some of the collectors purchased a few half-gallons of the True Moo blue milk from a local supermarket, and they were kind enough to share them with our fellow hotel guests. Collectors like Joel Slater, Pete Fitzke, Toby Black, Clifton Boggs, and the UK's Jason Smith also took part in the tasting. To commemorate the moment, each person signed the plastic container bearing the image of Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader locked in an intense lightsaber duel. Spending an hour or so in that courtyard was a great way to cool down after the hike. And it was so nice to see so many collectors from the various regional groups come together over a blue milk tasting. It felt like the pre-game warm-up ahead of the upcoming mixer at Narayan's house. Around that time, Jason's wife Shannon headed to the airport to pick up one of the weekend's special guests. John Celestri, the animator responsible for bringing Boba Fett to life for the first time on screen in 1978, was flying into Georgia that day. He would be attending Narayan's meetup that evening and would present a panel on his work on Boba Fett and the Star Wars Holiday Special at Saturday's main event. Here's Shannon to tell us what it was like to meet someone as special as John and why it was so meaningful to her.
So, Mandy Williams and I were kind of volunteered to go pick him up on Friday as he arrived to bring him to Narayan's for the Friday night gathering. Since we were stuck in Atlanta traffic and an hour late picking him up, we decided to kind of Google him and see what he had done beyond drawing the first incarnation of Boba Fett. And we discovered he had really illustrated our childhood. He had done like the Care Bear movies, Strawberry Shortcake, and personal to my family, Herself the Elf, which my sisters and I grew up recreating the stories of. So by the time we picked him up, we were really eager to meet him and a little bit starstruck, and he ended up being just the nicest guy and so humble. He shared with us that he really had never felt, very recognized for the work he had done with Boba Fett and within like the Star Wars community. He hadn't done any other like big conventions or anything like that, or done anything like this, and he was curious as to what to expect and what the club was like, and we tried to kind of put him at ease and paint the picture of what the weekend should look like for him and, kind of some of the people he would be meeting. And I was able to check in with him several times throughout the night, and even though he was exhausted from his travel day, he just kept expressing just how great it was and how welcoming everyone was. And he was honored with the recognition from the 501st coming and inducting him as an honorary member, and just the club and the welcoming spirit. And I checked with him throughout the weekend, and he just kept sharing and expressing that same thing. And from what I understand, he went on to do some other convention type events and kind of embraced this this whole thing. And I think that's just so cool that he was able to get a little bit of recognition that he hadn't felt that he had, but he was also able to share in the community that's been built around Star Wars.
Narayan's home was in the town of Sandy Springs, 40 minutes from the hotel. As I typed the address into my GPS, I suddenly realized I would be traveling back on I-85 during Friday rush hour traffic. It was a similar route that I had taken to go from the AFA headquarters to the hotel the day before, when a half-hour ride turned into an hour and a half. And if I had to pick a least favorite moment of the weekend, it would be that drive to Narayan's. Between the amount of accidents, the constant merging as the lanes expanded and contracted, and the go-kart mentality of the drivers around me, I was reminded of why the Atlanta region is one of the trickiest to navigate. Narayan's area was beautiful, though. Once I left the highway, I entered the tranquility of Sandy Springs. With every winding road, the ride became calmer and more enjoyable. and in less than an hour's drive, I had arrived at Narayan's. His home was a stately brick-fronted residence with 3 peaked roofs, oversized windows, and an upper balcony. I parked down a side street as the entire area around the cul-de-sac and down his street were filled with attendees' cars, taking up every available space on either side. It's 6:05. I'm hanging out with my buddy Anthony Pagano. Anthony, say hi.
Hey, what's up?
So we're just, we were walking up a very steep street to get to Narayan's house. A lot of cars here so far. Did you think we'd see this many people this early?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be pretty packed, so yeah, I'm not surprised.
All right. What's been the highlight of the day so far for you?
Getting here and hanging out with you, man. Yeah. Getting to meet a couple new people that I haven't met before.
Absolutely. So. Who were some of the new people that you met?
Ryan Dukes, never met him before.
Super nice guy.
Yeah. Haven't got to meet Ellie in person before, so that was good. And seeing Yehuda here again, that was cool. I wasn't expecting him to be here.
I didn't think he was going to be here. That's pretty awesome. All right, and now we get to see Narayan's collection. This should be fun.
Yeah. Now I'm going to pass out because I need my inhaler or something. Walking up this hill.
Yeah. There, we got it. So Narayan lives in a really pretty area too, and we got another beautiful day too, another beautiful evening. Good. All right, so we're gonna go in and enjoy the party. Narayan was no stranger to hosting Star Wars collector-themed meetups. Every year, he held the Georgia Club Summer Social in his backyard, which included an in-ground swimming pool, a hot tub, a screened-in patio, and a second-story deck. Narayan's mixer began at 5:30 and was set to run until midnight. Like the night before at Jason's, the weather for this evening's meetup was perfect. Warm enough for shorts and a t-shirt, cool enough to be comfortable. He had a row of coolers with alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages along the wall next to the patio, and he ordered pizza and salad for dinner, which he and his family lined up on rows of tables in his garage. In addition to serving food, Narayan also compiled goodie bags featuring Rogue Fun-themed swag he created. And like Jason's event, Narayan also had a poster made up for the event that he left on the swag table, and had asked everyone to sign it. It was a collection of the Rogue One-themed ice cream patch set against a light blue background, and each patch showcased a character with an imaginary ice cream flavor, like Jyn Erso and Stardust Swirl, Cassian Andor's Cotton Candor, Bodhi Rook's Rookie Road, and Orson Krennic's Krennic Crunch. And speaking of swag, a little bit about Narayan. I met him back in the spring of 2017 at my first Star Wars-themed event, a collector's mixer at Star Wars Celebration Orlando. Narayan was so kind to me that night. He introduced himself, and we had a great conversation. At the end of it, he asked me if I had brought any swag to trade. I told him I didn't have any. At the time, I wasn't even aware that swag was a thing. He reached into his bag and pulled out a number of Star Wars-themed items, including doubles and triples. Giving all of them to me, he described the significance of each one and explained to me how trading worked. That act of kindness allowed me to participate in an activity for which I wasn't prepared. As a result, I was able to interact with others and to meet some new friends in the process. And Narayan's generosity at that party showed me the effect we can have on other collectors and Star Wars fans. And I've tried to show a similar kindness to others in the years since first meeting him. So that's my connection to Narayan. Over the years, our friendship has grown, and we've had a number of adventures together in different states and at different events. I was so excited to finally travel to his home, to experience one of his hosted meetups, and to see his amazing collection. In addition to creating and collecting swag, Narayan's collection spans many areas of Star Wars memorabilia. When it comes to original trilogy characters, he largely focuses on 3: Luke Jedi, Yoda, and the beloved bounty hunter, Boba Fett. He has an extensive carded figure run of each, and to see each run in person is truly a spectacle. One of my favorite items in his collection has a personal memory attached to it. In 2021, we attended the Cincinnati Toy Show weekend. It was one of the first big meetups after the initial pandemic blast swept across the globe, keeping many of us apart for a while. And that year, at the Friday night room sales in Cincinnati, Narayan picked up a very special Luke Jedi piece. As the room sales event neared its end, Narayan and I found a quiet spot in the lobby to talk. As we sat down, he pulled out a carded graded figure from his backpack. It was a miscard, the rare case in which a figure was mistakenly sealed onto another character's card back at the factory. In this case, it was a fitting pair, a Luke Jedi figure on a Bib Fortuna card back. And as a fellow Luke Jedi collector, I love to see a special piece find its way into my friend's collection. And that Friday night at Rogue Fun, 3 years later, I was able to see it again, but this time in my friend's collection room. Narayan also appreciates the work that customizers like Gary Ray Weaver and Ryan Shaw produce, and he has integrated many of these Kenner-styled figures with his original loose figure run. He owns sealed vehicles, prototypes, coins, every type of modern and vintage action figure, and more ephemera than you can possibly imagine. His basement, which he affectionately titled the Mos Atlanta Cantina, has glass cases filled with these artifacts along every wall. One shelf focuses on the 4 Cantina figures that were released with the 1977 film, along with swag that features each of them. Another shelf is dedicated to the earliest designs, when the movie was still titled The Star Wars, and the logo was imprinted on books, stickers, shirts, and other retail releases. In other areas of the basement are bookcases with carded and loose figures filling each nook. Models of ships like the Y-Wing, the A-Wing, and the Snowspeeder sit atop cabinets packed with vintage-style astromech droids, bearing designs from the franchise's past 4 decades. And when it comes to Kenner figures, Narayan simply does not own one example of each. One display contains more than 25 Boba Fetts, including the light blue colored ones found in the tri-logo packaging. The shelf below has even more variants of the blonde-haired Luke Bespin figure, spanning various countries of origin as well. And the shelf below that likely contains more Yodas than you've ever seen in one location. Like Jason, Narayan also has a modular custom cantina, with segmented booths and a long U-shaped bar. And under its glass casing, you can see all of the creatures, aliens, droids, and characters from the film who visited the cantina, as the Biff Band played John Williams' swing-tinged space jazz. There are life-size helmets mounted on open spaces on the wall, where a Bo-Katan bucket rests next to a Boba Fett one, and not too far away from the white prototype Fett helmet. One case contains what is likely a full run, including variants, of the micro collection playsets, vehicles, and inch-tall figurines. And that same case holds many of the rare mail-away and multi-pack figure sets. I love Narayan's Luke Jedi wall. He has 4 long shelves of carded versions and 2-packs featuring Luke. The bottom 2 shelves feature more than 50 graded loose variants, with their green and blue lightsabers. And in the space above the carded Lukes sits 2 other characters from Jabba's palace. One is a run of carded Lando Calrissian figures in his skiff guard disguise, and the one just below the ceiling is a run of Princess Leia as the bounty hunter Boushh. For Boba Fett obsessives, Narayan's display is a treasure chest of releases. Beginning with the 21-back debut, his carded collection includes examples from The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And if you look in the top right corner of the wall, you'll see the rare version released in the animated Droids action figure line. Honestly, that's just a small taste of Narayan's collection. You could literally spend hours down his basement, poring over case after case, and you'd still need to come back another day to experience all of it. To see it in one room is quite the sight. And it served as the perfect backdrop for a large gathering of passionate, die-hard Star Wars fans on a Friday evening in Georgia. To give us another perspective on Narayan's collection, here's Stu Kesselman.
I'm Stu Kesselman from Eastern Pennsylvania, right outside of Philadelphia. I flew in from Pennsylvania with Bruce Lieberman Friday evening, so we missed the Friday daytime events. But Rogue Fun weekend started with a bang at Narayan's house. Narayan has a beautiful home, and he and his family were generous, wonderful hosts. When we arrived, it was dark, and there were tons of people already hanging out in groups in his backyard, just talking, eating, catching up, while others were touring Narayan's collection. It was great seeing faces from celebrations and ice and meeting new people and even bumping into Pennsylvania friends that I hadn't seen in a while. If I was going to summarize Narayan's collection in one word, it would be staggering in scope, in quality, in how he displayed things. It was just impressive, most impressive. You could see how well thought out his displays were, whether it was displaying vintage pieces in an interesting way, followed by modern on the next shelf, whether he focused on a character or an entire line or collection. Throughout the night, it seemed like everybody that went through his displays was amazed by something. I've seen Narayan post pictures of some really cool, unusual customs, but getting to see them displayed together made me appreciate them even more. I remember there were figures done in the style of the original Kenner figures, but were never made. There were some really cool, clear, colored figures that were reminiscent of the classic Tron figures. And he had one of the most extensive cantina displays I've seen, with a full layout of rooms and customs of figures and vehicles that we wish were made. We need Hasbro to take a good look at Narayan's setup for ideas. And all of Narayan's displays were meticulously put together with thought and care, and you got to appreciate and admire things individually and as a collected line. All the way back in a far nook of Narayan's room, there were some of the most impressive gems of his stellar collection, specifically Narayan's wall of graded carded figures. The figures were grouped by his main focus characters, Yoda, Jedi Luke, Boba Fett, and sitting on shelves, 2 carded figures deep, each having their own focus-specific space. Because the front row covered up the back, you saw like half of the collection at first glance. Then it was like, but wait, there's more. And then you could lift one up to see another treasure behind it. I was actually afraid to touch any of them, though, because there were some rare, intimidating pieces in the mix. However, do you remember someone else shuffling through the Jedi Luke figures without my reservations and practically juggling them as they went through them? One of the highlights of the night for me was being a fly on the wall as some knowledgeable collectors were discussing a sort of deep dives of Narayan's rare carded variations with him there. At one point, someone slightly drunkenly told Narayan with a little bit of mock outrage and shock that Narayan was missing a certain Luke variation, but then Narayan calmly and coolly just slid a figure aside to show that, yes, he did in fact have that variation in the mix. The night was just a wonderful mix of catching up with friends, meeting new people, and discussing Star Wars throughout while having a dazzling collection to go through.
Before we leave Narayan's collection room, let's hear from Doug Meyer as he shares his impression of it.
The event that Friday evening, my son and I went to Narayan's home, and we had first met Narayan at Celebration Europe, where we were fortunate enough to collect the Will Row Hood Star Wars patches. And that's, to be honest with you, that's what really kind of inspired us to visit Rogue Fun in the first place, because my son's real big into the swag collecting and he loved the ice cream patches. I had heard that Narayan had a fairly impressive collection, but I was completely amazed and astounded by what he had on display. I mean, I never realized there was so many variations of Yoda and Boba Fett and Luke Jedi action figures. He had these all in, plastic cases that were graded. And my grail item, which I have yet to acquire, is just to get one mint on card graded minted figure. And he has like hundreds of them. So it was pretty awe-inspiring. To think that I was a pretty avid collector beforehand, I really realized that I got a lot of work to do. But it was a really neat house or museum, as I like to call it, to visit. And then he also had just an amazing collection of swag that he had not only collected, but had actually been part of making over the years. He's just got a very natural, gift for, identifying unique items and things that people would really desire to add to their collection.
As Narayan mentioned earlier, while preparing for his mixer, he put some of his exclusive swag at the bottom of his pool. And whenever swag is involved, swag collectors come prepared.
Hey folks, it's Sam and Hannah Bennett here, recounting a fun memory on Friday, which involved Narayan's house, and during Rogue Fun, a fun thing that Narayan did is he had these bottle openers and a swag.
We only had so many. Like there was only like 10 of them.
Yeah. And the way he did distribution of them was he had bottle caps that he placed throughout his house, throughout his collection room, and then in his backyard. And he had hinted ahead of time, I think, that he said that some of them, at least one of them, would be in the swimming pool. And so, us naturally being swag fiends, I packed a pair of my swimsuit. Because you never know. You never know if we're going to be able, if that's the last one, I'm going in. And so, for Friday comes, and we are going to end up being a little late getting to Narayan's house.
We were helping set up.
Yeah, we were helping set up for a bit. And so we were late, and that's a whole other story. But we were going to be late. And I just knew. I just pulled on the swimsuit, and we went. I just knew it was gonna be necessary. And I think Mandy texted you.
Yeah, Mandy texted me and said, I wish no one's been in the pool yet.
Yeah, confirmed.
No one's been in the pool.
no pool bottle cap sightings yet. And so we get to Narayan's house, and we're walking down, we're saying hi, we're saying hello, Hannah's socializing with people, and I'm just making my way to the pool. And
first thing you did.
Yeah, it was the first thing I did. Yeah, and I think Narayan knew it was happening. He recorded it, I think.
He definitely recorded it.
And I just went straight to the pool and just jumped right in. Found it. It took a bit. I think there might have been two.
I think you found one for somebody else too. I think you gave one to somebody else.
I was already in the pool.
Yeah.
So that was a fun memory. And then I think the thing we learned from it is we'll do just about anything for swag.
Yeah, that's what it came down to.
Yeah, no, really was. You give me an exclusive piece of swag, I'm like, all right, what hoop do I have to jump through? But no, that was a lot of fun.
Let's check in for a second with Glenn to hear how his time at Narayan's went.
Me and Jason and Roosh and Lewis, we were getting all the AV stuff set up, so we were way late getting to Narayan's house. Hung out there for a couple hours, and I just remember sitting by the pool talking to the guys at Second Chance, and talking Star Wars toys with everybody.
And here's a snapshot of that marvelous evening from more of our friends who attended. First up, Vinny Tricomi.
Another memory from Rogue Fun Friday night, being at Narayan's house and just the conversations that I had in his yard with so many of my friends that I don't get to see quite as often as I like. it was just a great experience. It's always a pleasure. It's great that Narayan is able to open his home up to all of us, and it's very appreciated. And it's just a great memory. Also, another thing that I chuckle about to myself was Dave Brott begging me to come into his pool with him, Narayan's pool, which there's no way I was doing that, but I still laugh and joke with Dave about that.
Hi, David. It's Jerry Hancock. Friday night at Narayan's for the Most Atlanta Mixer. Wow, what a great event. I didn't get in town in time on Thursday to take part in the movie screening over at Jason's, but I did get there pretty early on Friday because I told Narayan that I would help him get things set up for his event. I brought the beer, and yeah, it was kind of cool being almost like fly on the wall as everybody rolled in. It was almost like an unofficial sort of red carpet, if you will. Everybody sort of showing up as they came in, and almost cheers for some of the folks as they entered. Getting to meet so many people that I've known of in the hobby, but I've never had the pleasure of meeting face to face. Got to meet Elon Bartlett. Great conversation with him, particularly about education. I know that being an educator, that always seems to be my water cooler topic in social circles, but got to meet Kathy Kendrick. We also had a good conversation about the state of education and sort of her background. Got to meet Paul Harrison. Wow, Paul, what an amazing guy. I'd known of Paul for years and years. I'd actually communicated with him a few times through his website, and such a sweet guy. I know that sometimes he can generate controversy, but yeah, just such a sweet, down to earth person, and just had great conversation with him. Actually had a chance to talk to him a few times over the course of the weekend, and it was just such a highlight. Probably my biggest highlight as far as folks that I got to meet Friday was finally meeting Gary Ray Weaver. I've known Gary for years and years. He's good friends with my buddy Ryan Shaw, and we just clicked off on so many levels. His dad's Vietnam vet, my dad's Vietnam vet, and of course we had pretty deep conversation about that topic, but had a great chance to spend a lot of quality time over the course of the weekend, being that he and Ryan were presenting as well. But yeah, just such a cool night, seeing folks from the Star Wars Collectors Archive. Got to see Gus Lopez again, Ron Salvatore, Chris Dragoulias. Always great to see those guys, especially coming back to Atlanta. Got to see Steve Sansweet was amazing. Love Steve. Had met him before, but it was great seeing him in sort of a more intimate setting, which I think is probably one of the real great qualities about Rogue Fun. Is it's much more intimate. It's not like a celebration or Comic-Con or something of that magnitude. It's just a little more laid back, and I think that was really probably the best quality about Friday, was seeing folks come in and it just being such a family, almost like a reunion. I guess the biggest thing afterwards, as I was driving back over to the hotel to check in that night, is my nerves sort of kicked in at that point after seeing so many folks who had come to town and folks who were going to be there for the event on Saturday when I presented my panel. I think the reality sort of set in at that point. So, yeah, I got a little nervous as I was driving back to the hotel on Friday night, but I slept well, and gearing up for an incredible day on Saturday. But those are my memories for Friday.
I think one of the highlights for me Friday night at Rogue Fun was sneaking off with Trevor Wenzel into a secluded part of Narayan's home, and we examined 5 AFA graded, freshly graded, I might add, Uze carded figures, and it was just surreal seeing them all in one spot and seeing them graded, and just being able to experience that with Trevor. That was a great memory for me.
Hi there, everyone. Here it's Jason Smith, Mr. Powertoy. We went to Narayan's house for the Friday night shindig, which was quite an experience. So normal, I've never really been to a con before where you get invited into people's homes, and that seems to be a very American thing, and it was fantastic. So we turned up quite early at Narayan's, having a look at his collection. So he's got but the whole basement level of his house is, and it's a big house, is his collection. He's got like a cinema room in there, and he's just got, I thought I had a lot of swag. Narayan's got all of the swag, and his collection, absolutely fantastic. He's got like a Boba Fett and Luke Jedi focus, and there's probably another one in there I'm missing. He's got like a full set of Power of the Force coins on the wall. It's just, his collection's just amazing. So that was lots of fun. Obviously meeting lots of people who were turning up. John Celestri was made an honorary member of the 501st Legion, so that was fantastic. And then Narayan's got a hot tub, so there's a good photo with me, Toby Black, and Jesse in the pool. We've spent quite a lot of time in the pool. And then later on, it all gets a bit hazy because I bought a bottle of slow gin and a bottle of limoncello to the party, and then proceeded to drink it with Mateus, who I managed to get quite drunk. I'm quite proud of that. And back in the pool after that, and then went home. But it was an absolutely fantastic party, and it was really great to see everyone in a social situation like that. It was at least as much. For me, the best part of that, the Rogue Fun Day itself was good, but all the socials around it were fantastic. Anyway, that's my Friday experience at Rogue Fun. I'll catch you later.
Hi everyone, this is Josie Harmon. So I remember really clearly on that Friday when we first walked into Narayan's backyard, we were just greeted with so many warm smiles, hugs from so many people, and a lot of them I had not known that long, but in some ways, like, it really had felt like I've known them forever. There was two right away that I had just met, Sean Moynihan and Susan Kowalski. I saw them right when I walked in, and I had just been chatting to both of them really recently on Facebook about swag and making a point to find them to give them one of our Sif meditation robes I had made. So that worked out perfectly, honestly. And both Sean and Susan were so lovely in person too. And from there, I really felt like it opened the swag floodgates, and it felt like a mini swag swap was in session as we started chatting to others right away. The swag was truly amazing and top notch from every single person at Rogue Fun. It was just awesome to see and chat about. And I remember I finally met Nelmini. I know she's been a good friend of Neil's for so long now, so I got to give her a hug and chat swag for a bit. We saw our friend Jason Smith, who we had just seen at Echo Live a few weeks earlier, and we got to chat about that for a bit. He's such a nice guy in the community. We saw Josh Phillips, who we've met a bunch of times now and always share a big love of creativity and Star Wars, and we definitely bond over that. We chatted a ton about creative process, and we just shared our enthusiasm of putting things out there in the world that we've made. I love that. And I met Hannah Bennett for the first time, which we both couldn't believe we hadn't crossed paths before. We had been to so many of the same events. It's crazy we hadn't met until then. But that was the bonus of having a smaller get-together. You have more opportunity to chat with these extremely like-minded people, where larger events can get a little bit more hectic and busy. I got to see Katie Lukens again, who I had met in London, and she's another swag queen, just like Hannah is, who I just really admire. I really loved chatting with both of these girls. It was awesome to be around so many Star Wars women who I can really connect with, and we get to share this love together and talk about our favorite areas of Star Wars. I talked to Hannah so much about all the prequel love and all that was popular when we grew up as Star Wars fans. Then I remember getting pizza in the garage, and none other than David Quinn himself arrives, and he comes over to me and Neil and introduces himself, and we have the most wonderful chat about all things Star Wars. It literally felt like the filet mignon of Star Wars talk. We got right down to the essence of why we love these movies and how they have affected our lives, and I can't even remember how long we chatted, but the quality of that chat was unreal. I came away feeling like David was a long lost friend to us because we all just understood. We got it. That same energy, literally like the Force, was why we all did what we did, and why David does his podcast, why me and Neil do our swag, why we come to these events and reach out to find these friends. Star Wars is everything to us, and I'll never forget that conversation. It's wonderful to be seen, of course, and David saw us, like our inner core. That was so wild. Then I wanted to drink and just go and have some fun. It's like I instantly felt even more comfortable after that amazing pizza garage chat. And then it was getting later in the evening and I needed to get in the pool because having a pool is a big deal, I think. It's not something I get to do often in Canada at friends' houses. So my mission was to find someone who would go back in the pool. Then I met Dave Brott for the first time, who is, again, lovely. Everyone was lovely. So we got in the pool, then a bunch of others got in the pool, like Narayan and Jason and Jerry, and I chatted about focuses with Dave in the pool, which was awesome. I never thought I'd get to chat Star Wars focuses at a pool party. It was all just amazing. Then after that event, we were all back at the hotel and I was introduced to the world of modern prototypes. I remember Neil bought a Rey prototype figure, and those were so neat to see. It was all around just a perfect day, really, and we were both excited for the big main event the next day.
A few days before I traveled to Georgia, I attended the April Fool's Toy Show in Newcastle, Delaware. At the show, I spoke with our friend Eric Janicki, who would also be at Rogue Fun later that week. And I asked him if there was anyone in particular he was looking forward to seeing in Kennesaw.
Oh, well, Josie and Neil are going to be there.
So Josie and Neil are...
they're just friends I met at other shows and conventions. And I was happily surprised to see that they were going. So I'm excited to see them, because I don't get to see them too often.
After Eric and I recorded that segment, he told me more about Josie and Neil, how wonderful they were, and how he really wanted me to meet them. And before leaving for Rogue Fun, I saw an image of the swag they created for the event. It was a hand-stitched black cloth robe with red vinyl Sith symbols on it. The robe was a Sith meditation robe, designed to fit the original 3 3/4-inch Kenner Darth Vader figure. And Neil had designed a Rogue One-style figure card back reminiscent of the original Kenner designs. They created images on the back, along with a description that tied the robe to both the action figures and the Rogue One movie in a creative and organic way. I marveled at what they had crafted. The Sith meditation robe was limited to 30 examples due to the work that it took to make them. As much as I would have loved to have owned one, I was just excited to meet Josie and Neil after speaking to Eric about them. And I wanted to simply tell them how much I appreciated their work on their swag for the event. At one point early in the evening, I made my way to the garage to get some dinner. Eric had just arrived, and the two of us sat in the shade of the garage, among a few other collectors, talking and catching up. At one point, Eric's eyes lit up. He paused our conversation, and as I followed his eyes to a corner of the garage, he stood up and said, "I have to introduce you to some friends." Eric brought me over to two others who were standing in the room and introduced me to Josie and Neil. What Josie said about our meeting was the same feeling I had on my end of the conversation. The two of them are so passionate about Star Wars and the community. As a couple, they balance one another in a really strong way, and I was thrilled to be able to have some time with them. The conversation supercharged my excitement for the weekend and for the community, and just brought me to another level that evening. And I also had the chance to tell them how I loved that they collaborated as a couple on their swag, and how much I appreciated their creativity. And to my utter surprise and joy, they kindly gifted me one of the meditation robes. That piece has been a monumentally special addition to my collection for a few reasons. It was made by collectors who I'm honored to now call my friends. I was able to put it to good use and to dress my Rogue One Darth Vader first shot prototype figure in it. And that swag is not only a souvenir of that once-in-a-lifetime weekend, but captures the very first time I met and spoke with Josie and Neil. That's the power of swag, and the power of friendship. Narayan's mixer was a wildly fun blur. I spoke with more collectors in the span of a few hours than I ever expected. I met Tony Harmon for the first time, a minister from Cochran, Georgia. I was able to reconnect with David Kevin White, who many of you already know as Jimmy Tupac, and his wife, Heather. I saw Maggie Moore for the first time in 3 years and met her dear friend Van. Darren Eddy, a Vader Focus collector, came all the way from Australia, and it was wonderful catching up with him for a bit. Tim Thale and I had a great conversation on the far side of the slope of Narayan's yard at the start of the party. And I loved every interaction, every shared laugh, and just having an evening like this. I found myself moving wherever the moment took me. One minute I was posing for a photo with Sean Moynihan next to some carded figures in Narayan's basement, and the next I was back outside again, sitting with a new friend under the soft nightlights of Narayan's patio. Random encounters became fun, meaningful moments, and I watched as friendships developed all around me. Around 10 o'clock, a number of the modern prototype collectors left Narayan's to drive back to the hotel. We briefly had talked about doing a modern prototype room sales in the lobby that night, so I had assumed they were heading back to set up for it. I walked to my car and got in, ready to join them. But before I could put the car into drive, I realized that I wasn't ready to leave the mixer yet. After all, gatherings like this happen so infrequently. And so many of us were still at Narayan's, and there were more conversations to be had and more memories to be made. So I shut the car off and headed back to Narayan's for another hour. Here's Narayan to give us his perspective of the day as the host of the evening event.
One of the fun things I remember early on when the mixer started was Sam and Hannah Bennett arriving, and one of the first things that they did, actually that Sam did, was take off his clothes and dive into the pool to get one of the more obvious bottle caps that was at the deep end. So that was fun to see, somebody getting in the pool immediately to get that bottle cap. But wanted to continue on talking about the mixer and some of my favorite memories from that, and two things stood out to me, and one was having both Steve Sansweet and John Celestri visit my home, and one of the inspiration to collect in the 90s. The other one, one of the people who helped create one of my favorite characters, Boba Fett. And so to have them both in my home and get to see, host them and see my collection was just a dream come true. And also a big plus was to have the induction of John Celestri into as an honorary 501st member by the local Georgia Garrison. and to be able to witness that at the mixer was pretty amazing. So those are two things that stood out to me. So many other great memories, just hanging out with friends. I do remember a nice little moment when Toby went back to see the carded collection walls in the down the hallway, and he picked up some Canadian items. I believe there were a couple Yodas, and he was like, I am claiming these on behalf of Canada and repatriating them. So that was fun, and we had some fun with that, and some great pictures together in that moment. Another fun moment was finally getting a chance to get in the pool later that evening. We had the pool lights on, and it was just kind of a really magical and surreal moment, just seeing everybody hang out, and some of us were in the pool, some of us were hanging out in the backyard, some of us were on the deck, other people in the theater, and others at seeing the collection. So, and just to see everyone having fun and getting to know each other before the big event of the weekend was just truly a blessing and an honor.
The drive back to the hotel on I-85 was much quieter at 11 o'clock. It rained for a portion of the ride, but I was thrilled to have open and empty lanes around me, instead of fighting through the earlier rush hour traffic. I put on the Morgan Wallen album I had discovered 2 days earlier, which had become the soundtrack to the weekend. The 40-minute ride served as a nice break in between meetups. I didn't know what was waiting for me back at the hotel, but I safely assumed it would be another late night of hanging out and chatting with collectors. I also figured that the modern prototype room sales had started at least an hour earlier, and I hoped I didn't miss anything. I was wrong and right. Walking through the lobby's sliding doors and into the air conditioning, I saw many of the attendees who were at Narayan's only a short time ago. They were gathered around tables, deep in conversation. But there were no signs of prototypes anywhere. I ran up to my room, grabbed the bins I brought with me, and headed back to the lobby. My intention was to get the ball rolling, hoping that the appearance of some prototypes would cause collectors to bring out whatever they brought with them. It's rare to have this many modern Star Wars prototype collectors in one location, and an epic room sales seemed to be the perfect way to end this evening. However, that's not how it began. Instead, everyone in the area gathered around the table where I laid out my items. I was not expecting that. Excited to share some of the history of the pieces I had accumulated, I began pointing out specific items and sharing a little information about them. As collectors looked through my assortment of first shots, samples, and hard copies, they grabbed figures and inquired about their prices. Unfortunately, most of the items I brought to the room sales weren't actually for sale. I brought them with the intention to trade for pre-production pieces that fit my various areas of focus, like the ones from the Clone Wars, the Black Series, Rebels, Force Awakens, and Rogue One. Soon, other collectors brought their wares and set up on the adjacent tables. I was happy to share my spot with Ohio collector and fellow Ahsoka-holic Clifton Boggs, as he laid out his colorful Black Series first shots and regular scale prototypes. The majority of what Alabama collector Anthony Pagano brought out were also Black Series box samples and first shots, and he set up on the table in front of us. Paul Kanoski took over some of the smaller tables along the side wall and showcased some unpainted hard copies of the recently released 12-inch Kenner replica figures produced by Gentle Giant. He also had a multicolor Aura Singh prototype and speeder and some of the Power of the Jedi proof sheets. And Bruce Lieberman brought a variety of unique first shots from the prequel trilogy, as well as some from the Saga collection. As a modern prototype collector, it was great to explore the items on the various tables with other collectors, and to discuss each one's history and part in the pre-production process. And I was able to pick up a few pieces for my collection as well. For Glenn Williams, the prototype sales was a welcome surprise after a busy day.
And then when we got back to the hotel to drop Jason off, we were both exhausted. It was probably, midnight, 1 a.m. And then, of course, everybody's hanging out in the lobby. And we're like, let's go check out the lobby for a minute, see what's going on. And then you, David, bring out your prototypes. And then, of course, the dominoes just fall. And there was like this amazing of, 5, 6, 10 people just bringing out insane prototypes in this lobby in Kennesaw, Georgia, on a random Friday night in May. This lobby sale was better than anything I think I've seen, even at Celebration. And I just remember driving home from that lobby swap, but anyway, everybody had prototypes, just high end stuff, just amazing, examples of Star Wars prototypes. And I remember driving home from that going, number one, what did I just witness? And then it hit me. Number two, that the Georgia Club had put this together and it was 20 minutes from my house. So that was kind of a shock to me. So that was my Friday. I'll check back in with Saturday and Sunday here in a minute.
And here are a few of our friends to share their thoughts on the Friday night room sales.
Hey guys, this is Hannah and Sam Bennett again. My story from Friday is from after the party at Narayan's house. It was after we had already arrived back at the hotel. And I think Sam and I actually went on a late night run to Wendy's.
No, it was Whataburger.
Whataburger, okay, yeah. So we went on a late night run to Whataburger. And I remember, it was like midnight.
Oh, it was late.
It was late.
It was an unreasonable time to go and get a burger.
Yes, and we came back and we had just like giant Cokes in our hands. And we come back into the hotel lobby and there's just people everywhere. And now this is our first large event that we'd been to that wasn't a convention. This is our first. We'd been to Georgia Summer Socials, but we had not been to, a large kind of collecting event like this. And so we walk into the lobby, and there's just people with tons of tubs of toys out.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
It was amazing.
And I think Dave saw us and was probably aware at how confused we look. And he was like, hey guys, have y'all ever seen any prototypes? And I think that just kind of broke our brains. And so he just kind of walked us around to some of the prototype booths. And not booths. Booths.
Tables with tubs on them.
They weren't even booths. It was just people's tables.
That was great.
Not even people's tables. It was just people had tubs of prototypes out. And we were like, what on earth is going on? And again, it's like midnight. This is the first time we've ever been exposed to this. And so Sam starts looking at things and picking them up. And again, a lot of the prototypes that were there were very modern prototypes. And we are mostly modern collectors. Yeah. And so Sam is just amazed at what all is in front of him. It's wild.
Amazing stuff.
I'm just sitting there sipping my Whataburger Coke, and all of a sudden Sam is like, oh, this is great, but, I don't know. I don't think I need anything tonight. Maybe if somebody had a Plo Koon. And then behind us, Anthony Pagano goes, oh, I got a Plo Koon right here. And he just digs in his tub and just pulls out a Plo Koon. And it was just like it was the craziest thing we could have experienced.
I think given the time, too.
Given that it was at midnight. At least. It could have been 2 a.m.
It might have been 1 o'clock at that point.
Yeah.
It was late.
It was so wild. But we really do, thank Dave Brott for kind of introducing us to prototypes.
And Vinny Tracomi had a unique take on the room sales.
After hours on Friday, there was a pop-up flash sale of prototypes that I've never experienced before. It just basically overtook the lobby of the hotel suddenly. It was almost like a lightning fast. It was great. I actually, Trev brought down some bootlegs that he had told me he was bringing, so I did well, even though I wasn't purchasing any prototypes. But it was great to look around at those pieces and see that there's a similar community to us bootleg guys with that there's an adamant following of it. And it was great to see that and experience that, even though I don't necessarily participate in it.
As much as I didn't want that Friday at Rogue Fun to end, I finally called it a night at 2 a.m. I had brought my bins and containers of prototypes back to my room earlier in the evening, spending a few more hours with our fellow collectors. I think many of them felt like I did, and tried to stay up as long as possible to take advantage of every possible moment we had together that weekend. And for a few days, the Hilton belonged to Star Wars collectors. Wherever you'd go, you'd always run into someone. Whether it was walking to your hotel room, or taking an elevator ride, or walking through the parking lot, you were always among friends. And I can't remember a time in which there weren't at least 2 or 3 collectors gathered in the lobby, whether it was at breakfast time, or for a round of late-night drinks and conversations, or anywhere in between. It was a family reunion that continued for days. And that was part of the magic of Rogue Fun. Or maybe that was the secret central part of all of it, that we owned it. It felt like it was wholly ours, and that we had each taken a stake in its outcome, in its success. And in a way, it belonged to each of us. And when you feel that connected to an event like this, you strive to do what you can to help make it special. And whether that's making swag to commemorate the weekend, or to take part in as many activities as possible, there is an excitement and a joy driving you. And maybe it's simply helping to make someone else's experience memorable in some way too. A successful collector's event really turns out to be a mix of larger-than-life moments that capture the wonder, and the small ones that draw us closer together. And the first 2 days of Rogue Fun had both in abundance, at every turn. And I couldn't wait to see what Saturday's main event had in store for all of us. If you're interested in joining us in Georgia for the next Rogue Fun in 2026, here are Glenn and Jason once again to tell you how you can get connected to the Georgia Alliance and the Rogue Fun event page.
Hey everyone, this is Jason.
And Glenn.
And we just wanted to jump on here real quick to let you know that Rogue Fun 2 is happening. It's called Rogue Fun 2 Fun and Villainy. It's happening next May 26, 2026. May 2nd, to be exact. Why not be precise?
Yes.
And it is open to everyone. It is a private group, but we just made it that way because it is a ticketed event. We don't want, to have people show up and they didn't pay for a ticket and, all that stuff. So we're just trying to control that a little bit. But that doesn't mean that you're not invited. So and it's a private group, so you won't be able to find it and we won't make it searchable. Facebook does that. So if you really wanted to join us for Rogue Fun 2, what you have to do is join the Georgia Alliance of Star Wars Collectors. We welcome everybody. That's an open group. Once you're invited, just make sure you answer all the questions. Once you're invited, find the Rogue Fun teaser video. You can just search Rogue Fun in that group and just comment that you want to be part of the Rogue Fun page, and we will send you a link and you'll be able to join us.
Yeah, I hope to see you guys there. It was a good time last time. I hope it'll be even better this go around. So may the fun be with us.
May the fun be with us. Wretched hive of fun and villainy.
Yes.
Must be cautious.
May 2nd, 2026 in Atlanta. Well, not really Atlanta, but close enough to Atlanta.
Close enough to be called Atlanta.
It's close enough to be called Atlanta.
Thank you for joining me for part 2 of this wonderful trip. I'm looking forward to revisiting Saturday with you. The day, which happened to fall on May the 4th, was filled with collector meals, more room sales and special moments, and 5 incredible panel presentations highlighting fascinating parts of the Star Wars galaxy. So I'll meet you back here for part 3 of the 2024 Rogue Fun Weekend on Star Wars, Prototypes, and Production.